vlog. Happy New Year. It is January 2nd and don't mind all the acne. I've had a stressful holiday season, that's for sure, but we are starting a new leaf, a new chapter, and I thought we could do a little reset. I'm gonna be doing a ton of laundry today. Today was the first day of work. Mabel has a very important vet appointment. Mabel had a really big health scare. Mabel is my dog, for those of you who are new to this channel. Come here, Mabel. Come here. Let's say hi to the vlog. You wanna say hi to the vlog? Oh, here's Mabel. Yes, but Mabel had a very large health scare, didn't you, little girl? I'm not quite ready to talk about it yet, but she has a number of vet appointments coming up. One with her local primary vet, and then she's gonna need some specialty care. But I will do probably a full video talking about her condition and things that she has coming up. She's gonna probably need surgery and things like that. And I think the reason I'm gonna do it is just because I think it would be helpful for me to see a video like that. And I don't see many of them detailing her condition, things like that on YouTube or on the internet. So I probably will post a video just in case someone else has a dog that has a similar issue. Anyway, it's not the point of today's video, but we had guests over and it was a lovely New Year's. I had my best friends in the whole world and their husbands come into town, and I'll probably insert just a few little clips here so you can get a glimpse of how our New Year's went. I didn't do a full vlog or anything like that because I wanted to just hang out and spend time with them, but I'll insert just a little bit of footage so that you can see right now. She's getting her apple cider. Wait, so lavender lattes that have been rough? What?
Yeah,
like too lavendery?
They put like the lavender seeds in it.
I'm just realizing that I've never been to the Pike Place Market during Christmas time, so all of this is new to me too. I've never seen it decorated like that. It's so cute. Gotta get all the angles. You excited?
Yeah.
All right, so CJ got the strawberry crave. Which one did you get, Tyler?
Banana Nutella.
Nice. And then I got a savory to break their palates.
That looks like
Yeah, it's good. Just got her birthday wine flight. And then we've got a whiskey flight going with different chocolates. Which one is that?
The Boba Rat Spice. I'm saying that right.
I don't know. So in my life, I'm the designated driver, so just this glass for me. Because Mike was not here. Out of town, I always take him to the Museum of Flight because I just think it's very like Seattle coded, and at the same time you get to know like there's like World War I exhibits, World War II, like I don't know, I just think it's one of the best things we have to offer in terms of tourism. I would much rather take someone here than the Space Needle. Liking your museum experience?
I like
Yes.
This is called opening champagne.
Darren left.
$19 Fortnite card.
All right, and with that, let's go ahead and get cleaning. we got back from the vet. They really didn't have much to add. So we are just waiting for her consult that she has to have in Portland in Oregon. But I am just going to go ahead and warm myself up some bone broth. So I decided to start the new year off with a little bit of a cleanse, which I've never done before. And I'm not usually a proponent of cleanses and all that, but there was one that I saw online that I felt like I could get behind, and that was a bone broth cleanse. And the reason behind that is, like, I feel like people have been doing like smoothies and juice cleanses forever, and I don't think that's enough sustenance for me. And also when I think about juices, unless you're drinking green juices, which I think generally taste horrible. Again, maybe I just haven't had the right one, but in my experience, the ones that I have tried, I did not like. The green ones taste horrible, and the other ones are just pure sugar. So I never saw the appeal or the benefit, but the bone broth makes sense because bone broth has a ton of protein and it's very high in collagen. So it's good for your digestive system, your gut lining, your stomach lining, just clearing you out. Has a lot of, the collagen has benefits for your skin, your nails, all of that, joints. And I made homemade bone broth. So as you can see, like, do you see how gelatinous this is? Like, that's what you want in your bone broth. Like, it needs to look like Jell-O. Otherwise, you're just making stock, and the stock does not have the same amount of collagen. So you want to use bones, obviously, for bone broth to make your bone broth. I collect mine over time, kind of with scraps and things like that, or you can go to the butcher and just ask for a bunch of bones. This is like chicken based, but beef bones work as well. And you need to simmer it, bring it to a boil, and then simmer it overnight on very low heat to really let the bones release all of the collagen. Specifically, you want bones with a lot of cartilage, like wings or thighs, you know, things that have those like cartilage in between, those kind of like rubbery bits that you normally, like, you know, don't want to chew on, things like that. That is kind of what you're looking for. That will give you the best result in terms of like a nice little jelly mixture like that. It kind of looks gross, but it becomes liquid when you heat it up. So I'm just gonna pop mine in for a couple of minutes so it's nice and hot. So my first day of doing this was yesterday, January 1st. So and when I do this, I don't eat anything else. So I just have bone broth for whenever I'm starting to feel hungry. I have a cup of bone broth. I don't limit it to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I just sip on it as I'm hungry throughout the day. And this is my second full day. It's now 2:45. So I lasted all morning, all throughout the day. I'm starting to get really hungry again. But honestly, the bone broth is pretty high in protein, so it keeps you fairly satiated. I never felt like super low energy or faint or anything like that. So again, I think it's more sustainable because you're consuming protein still, not just sugar. So I feel like you can actually do it. I was planning on doing it for 3 days, but I only have, so I still have to, I'm gonna sip on the rest of this probably throughout today. And then I only have one more of these jars for tomorrow. I think I had like 4 or 5 in total, because that's how much my bone broth produced. So I may not have enough to do a full day tomorrow, but who cares? Whenever I run out, I'm gonna eat real solid food, because I haven't had any solid food since New Year's Eve. That sounds like crazy to say, but yeah, since New Year's Eve, I've had no solid food. And this is not me, this is not diet culture or anything like that. I overconsumed so much food. It was all so rich, it was all so good. We had chicken parm and all these different types of pastas and red velvet cake and all these cookies, and just like, I had so much food over the holidays and so much sugar, so much stress because of what happened with Mabel. Again, I'll talk about that in more detail, but I just felt like my system needed a little help. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to like lose weight, or this is not a crash diet or anything like that. So if that triggers you, don't do it. Don't do what I'm doing. But so far, so good. Hello friends, it is Saturday. So a few days later than when I started this vlog, and I thought I would vlog making a pot roast, because I feel like I've never done that. Well, I've done a pot roast before, just never on YouTube. But yeah, so this is gonna be the recipe that I'm following. And then once we sear this and chuck it into the oven, then we will go ahead and start taking Christmas decorations down. That's the plan. But anyway, for this recipe, you will need, all right, so you'll need the chuck roast. This has already been salted and peppered, and you want to do it for as many hours as you can. I salted and peppered it this morning, so it's been around 5 to 6 hours, which is plenty enough time. So we are going to flour this and then sear it, but for now I'll set that aside. And then for your veg, you want 1 whole onion, 2 medium-sized carrots, and then 3 celery sticks, some garlic, see that here. Then you want a jar of San Marzano tomatoes. You want some chicken broth or chicken stock. This is the leftover bone broth that I have. You want a fresh blend of fresh herbs. I'm just gonna chuck the whole box in probably, but maybe I'll leave out the parsley. But you want the rosemary and the thyme for sure. So that's the last thing, or not the last thing, and then the last thing you'll need is some wine. Again, I would usually prefer probably a cab instead of a Pinot for something like this, but this is already open and I don't want to have to open up another bottle. And then you just need some flour to flour the surface of the chuck roast. In the meantime, we're just gonna roughly chop our veggies. And by roughly, I do mean roughly. This does not have to be a fine chop by any stretch of the imagination. So I do that really fast with these 3 celery sticks. And then the ends I save and put them, I always have a little trash dish or scrap dish. A, because I collect the scraps for stock, and then B, that way you don't have to be going to and from the trash can all the time. So I find that very helpful. And same thing for the carrots. Just gonna chop the butts off, throw them in the scrap bin. And then I like to chop my carrots for a chuck roast very large, but I like to do them in this diagonal pattern because I think that makes them more fun to eat. Again, toss that into the bowl ready for our veg. Yeah, also peep my new knife. This is a Christmas present from Michael. It is a Shun Japanese Nikiri knife, and it is mega sharp. All right, when you cut an onion, you want to have it so that this bottom part of the onion remains intact. Then onion, I'm going to chop a little bit finer just because Michael hates like coarsely chopped onions, so I could care less, but I'm going to chop it nice and fine for his purposes. And then when you chop an onion, in order to get the finest chop, you just want to start in parallels like this. And then you want to dice it vertically. Give it a nice good small slice. And then you want to just chop. And again, any kind of butt, throw it in your scrap bin. Now go directly into the freezer until you're ready to make some stock. So we're just going to do this to the other part of the onion. All right, one side done. Flour the other side. What the flour does is helps create an even sear, and it also helps thicken the sauce, or the braising fluid, so it has a better texture. So it's a double whammy, and again, it doesn't have to be.
Where's the bowl?
All right, so for a chuck roast, you want to make sure you're braising it in a Dutch oven. This is my 5.5 quart Le Creuset. Doesn't have to be Le Creuset, just any kind of enameled or cast iron Dutch oven would work. And make sure it's nice and hot before you sear it. You can find out if it's hot enough if you put your hand towards the bottom and it's so hot that you have to kind of move it away, then it's pretty much ready to go. I'm going to sear my chuck roast with some avocado oil just because it has a higher smoke point. I'm just going to coat the bottom of the pan kind of like that. I love that it has a squeezy bottle. All right, so the bottom is now all coated, and you just want to drop in your piece of chuck roast. Perfect. Hear that nice sizzle. Let it, don't touch it. Do not touch it. Let it cook and sear for about 5 minutes per side, I would say. If you are cooking it in a stainless steel kind of pot like this, because I believe those are also oven safe, or a Dutch oven, if it's not releasing from the bottom of the pan, that means it's not ready to flip. Do not yank it off if it's not releasing. It will automatically just like flip easily once it's ready. Perfect sear. Cute puppy interlude. Yes. She always has to go in between my legs like this. Always. Hi. Oh, big shake. Big shake. Sit. Good girl. Good sit. Good sit. Good sit. Here. Got a nice sear on both sides, and you just want to get this out of the pot and then set it aside. It'll go back in the pot, but we have to prep the veggies. All right. So we have some nice fond on the bottom of the pot. Keep that, just a little drizzle of olive oil, and I'm gonna lower the heat because I don't want to burn our veg. Just a good amount like that. Coat the bottom of the pan. And then in go our veg. I am not fussed about putting things in like a certain order because this is all going to be in the oven for a couple of hours, so it will all cook through, don't worry. So I would just get this cooking for a few minutes until the onions are starting to get translucent. You want to go ahead and add your garlic. I like to add my garlic once the other veg has been cooked down a little bit because garlic doesn't take as much time and I don't want the garlic to burn. But we are pretty much there. I would just saute this for maybe another minute or so, and then we can add in the rest of our ingredients. All right, now you want to go ahead and add your your wine. This is a little less than a cup because it's all I had. Ideally you want a cup, but we can just compensate for that with our other ingredients. All right, so wine added. You can let that cook out just a little bit, but again, I'm not really worried about any of that. This is a very simple recipe. Anyone can do this. Here is your can of whole San Marzano tomatoes. And I'm just gonna whack all of them in. And then I'm going to compensate for our chicken broth, for our lack of wine with our chicken broth. And I'm gonna add about 1.25 cups. Just a little bit more than I normally would. And you can use whatever stock you have. You could use beef stock if you want the proteins to like match up perfectly. You don't have to. This is just what I already had in my fridge. Perfect. So now you're gonna bring this to a simmer. The only other thing I'm gonna do is add in our herbs. So I'm going to go ahead and chuck the rosemary in there and the thyme in there. If you want to be fancy, you can tie it with some butcher string. I am not doing that. I'm just gonna nestle them in there. because I'm lazy and I don't have any butcher twine, so we are not going to do that. We'll just fish them out at the end and it'll be okay. All right, we have a little gentle boil. That's all you need. Again, I'm not trying to reduce this down here because we're just gonna pop a lid on it and it's gonna simmer and cook and all the flavors are gonna meld together in the oven. So we're gonna pop the meat back in. Easier said than done. We're just going to nestle this into the pot. Make sure it's fully submerged. Perfect. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a few of these little tiny fingerling gold potatoes. Put these in later because you don't want them to kind of overcook and boil, but I really could care less. Perfect. All right, so everything has reached a gentle simmer. Then you want to put the lid on it. Just like that, and we're gonna toss this into the oven. Our oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Ta-da, can you see that? Yes, you can. If you have a Celsius setup, then I don't know what to tell you. You can Google it, but yes. We're gonna put it in there for a couple hours. Shot, but yeah, so the roast has been cooking in the oven for about, what time is it? 6, so about 2 hours, and it will cook about 2.5 hours total. But we're just going to prepare these potatoes for Michael, and I'm going to parboil them and then fry them. I like to give them a little cut in half, and these will roast very nicely. You do not have to. I like my asparagus nice and chunky, and they had some nice chunky asparagus at the store. So you want to get rid of all of these white bits because that is very tough. So you don't want to eat that. I don't even take the rubber band off because it keeps it together. And just cut it like that. Since it's just me eating it, I'm not gonna cook the entire thing tonight. I'm just gonna cook probably about that much, and then I'll cook these tomorrow or whenever I want them. And to keep them fresh, all you have to do is take a little mason jar, pop a little bit of cold water in there since you cut the bottoms of them, and then plop them in there, and they'll stay nice and fresh for a few days. All right, and then when I say salt your potatoes, I do mean heavily salt them. So I'm just using some thick kosher salt and like 2 generous pinches of salt. And then the secret to making really good roast potatoes is actually putting in some baking soda. Again, I'm using like a healthy pinch. Do like another smaller pinch. But put all of that in there, bring that to a boil until the potatoes are nice and tender. And what the salt or the baking soda does is helps cook the exterior of the potato faster than the interior. So you get that nice like sludginess so that when you fry them, there's a lot more to like crisp up. So there's that. All right, so our roast looks good. I am just going to pop it back in the oven just so it stays nice and hot. I'm gonna keep the lid off this time and let some of that sauce start thickening up. So let's pop that back in the oven while we work on everything else. Favorite pan to fry up the potatoes is just a normal cast iron skillet. This is just a Lodge brand skillet, nothing fancy or special. The more you use it, the more seasoned it becomes. All right, our potatoes have been boiling. You can go ahead and turn them off the heat, put the lid on, and then we're just gonna strain them. All right, turn the heat on your cast iron, let that get hot. Now here's the secret. So you have your potatoes in here. They're nice and hot. Then you want to take this little pot that we've boiled them in, and you want to give it a nice shake. And that way, it creates this slurry texture. Can you see that? I'll give them just a slight more shake. Perfect. Let me zoom you guys in so you can see that. Do you guys see that? Whoop. You guys see the slurry that they're in? That's exactly what you want right there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put the beef tallow into the pot, or into the pan. You could use butter for this if you don't have beef tallow. It really doesn't matter. I just have it and I obviously want to use it. You want a good bit. And I also think the beef tallow goes well with the beef pot roast. Perfect. So you want enough to coat evenly the bottom of the pan, but you don't want so much that the potatoes are going to be like swimming in oil, because that's not the point of this. And then you put your potatoes in there. This takes like a little second of your time, but you want to just make sure you flip all the potatoes with the cut side down, because that way they get the crispiest. This takes a second, but trust me, it's worth it. Go ahead and get the roast out of the hot brining fluid. And it should be extremely tender and falling apart. Yeah, see how it's literally falling apart as I'm getting this out? That's exactly what you want. I just find it easier to cut it and portion it when it's out of the pot. Perfect. And then I'm also getting the bulk of the veggies out. All right, the potatoes are getting to the point where they're almost ready to flip. You can start seeing that when the edges get nice and crispy. And you start seeing the browning of the edges, that's perfect. These are almost ready. All right, we've got all the veg out. I'm gonna put the heat back on this and crank it up to pretty high. And I'm just gonna let the sauce reduce a little bit more and turn into a nice gravy. And then we're gonna start flipping these potatoes. And you can see they're getting perfectly roasted and golden. Again, is exactly what we want. Okay. And lower the heat because you don't want to overcook that. And this, see how this is on a pretty high boil? That's exactly what you want because you want as much liquid to drain out of that. All right, I'm gonna move this over one. We're gonna keep that on a low flame there just to keep it hot at this point. The potatoes are done, but we don't want them to be cold. And now we're gonna quickly cook the asparagus. Just add a little bit of olive oil, or this is avocado oil, and then I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of water to make it steam. I am literally just going to juice some lemon in there to give it a nice brightness. Perfect. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of garlic powder and freshly cracked pepper. And then I'm going to leave this alone and let it kind of blister. Crank the heat up just a little bit.